We're starting without you, Jamie. Jamie, I'm gonna get right to the point. The goal of this episode is for you and I to destroy 2 cars in a way that we've never done before.
So what's your pick?
There's a story that's been on our list for a long time. I've always wanted to test it. The myth is that a standard household vacuum cleaner has enough suction to lift a car.
Come on, baby!
Well, I'm dubious, but sounds like fun.
What are you going to do?
Well, you know, I've always wanted to do something that I call pancaking a car. It involves using explosives to perfectly flatten a car.
So using the power of explosives to do work rather than just gratuitously.
That's always floated my boat in the past.
Well, have at it.
Explosions. Detonations.
Here comes the shockwave.
Or just blowing crap up. It's the science of C4 that gets Jamie jazzed. But can you really harness the brawn of a boom to completely crush a car? Well, in this Gloves Are Off special, Jamie's starting his story in scale, but not with this.
So if we're going to do a scaled-down attempt at crushing a car, we could use a nice little model like this one. This is die-cast zinc, and it's 1/12 scale. The problem is, if you measure the thinnest parts of it, you get about a 1/16 of an inch. And 1/12 scale, 1/16 of an inch times 12, you get 3/4 of an inch. I don't know any passenger vehicles that have 3/4 inch thick steel walls on them. So what we're going to do instead is use something like this can here, which has very thin sheet steel, and we'll make something that may not look as good, but it'll crush a lot more realistically.
If this was Adam's story, his scale cars would be captivating.
I think that's great.
But Jamie's always preferred a more practical approach, where substance surpasses style.
This is actually working.
And in this case, by using simple steel cans for the body
Sure.
and steel piping for the wheels and engine, he is able to scale a car's strength surprisingly well.
Well, there you have it. I've got a sort of unibody sheet metal structure. I've got 4 wheels, and I've got an engine block. Now, all of these things will crush differently, the sheet metal being the weakest, the wheels being next, and then the engine block being the sturdiest. Hopefully, we'll be able to overcome the differences in those things and still end up with a flat thing.
Well, to find out, the guys head once again to their home away from home.
This is the Alameda County Sheriff's Department bomb range in Dublin, California. It is the most important location in MythBusters history. I've spent literal months on this location when you tally up all the location days. I've spent more time on this location than I spent learning typing in high school, and typing's the most important thing I learned in high school. And so it's fitting that our last explosion, our last experiment here should be Jamie's choice to do work with explosives instead of just destructing.
And to do just that,
Time to level out our work area.
Jamie's starting with some pre-proof of concept preparation.
Look at him, a man in his element.
He's building a kind of car sandwich. A steel plate as the base, then his small-scale car, then more steel on top. But what's the next ingredient?
This is next. It's called data sheet. It's a high explosive in sheet form. We put this on top of our steel plate. Okay, that ought to work. And it goes kaboom.
Yep, by adding a 4 mil layer of data sheet, Jamie's hoping to force the upper steel plate down to completely crush his scale car.
Fire in the hole! Fire in the hole! Fire in the hole!
Here we go.
Okay, single layer of data sheet in 3, 2, 1. Yeah, that's aggressive.
That's got a real ring to it. I felt the walls of this thing vibrate.
Yeah, let's go check it out.
All right.
The data sheet sure packed a punch. But has it created a small-scale crush?
That looks like a positive result there, Mr. Heineman.
That's like one of the wheels right there.
Yeah.
And
There's the engine.
the engine.
Did you expect such a spectacular result on the first try?
No, actually. I'm actually a little speechless.
At a little under an inch thick, the car's been crushed to 1/5 its original size. So, is it already time to go full scale?
Jamie came here with a goal to flatten a car. And for my money, it looks like he achieved it on the very first try. But he's here at the bomb range, and he's got a bunch of analogs. My guess is, I don't know, maybe he's going to start stacking them and trying to see optimal relationships between weight and explosives. Or maybe we're all just going to go home. I'm actually not sure at this point.
Oh, we're not going home, I can tell you that much.
Oh, come on!
This was a lovely first attempt, but when we scale this up to a full-size car, it's going to be a lot bigger of an experiment, a lot more time and difficulty. So I want to learn everything I can about the dynamics of what happened here before we go there.
In other words, small scale's not over yet.
Whoa! I don't think they've landed yet.
But first, it's time for Adam's destructive denouement.
It's a nice little bit of symmetry in this episode. In your half, you're trying to make a car as low to the ground as possible, and in my half...
You're trying to lift a car up as high as possible.
Exactly.
With a vacuum.
Yes. Now, I figure that the trick to this is to make the mother of all attachments, to increase the surface area of the vacuum cleaner's input so that the amount of suction I create exceeds the weight of the car, and thus I can get it off the ground.
So what you're trying to say is that as far as the attachment goes, size matters.
Indeed it does.
Throughout MythBusters history,
Fire in the hole!
vacuum cleaners have been blown up, turned into jet engines,
Didn't really jet across the room.
and had the chance to bite back.
I got bit!
You guys stop bleeding.
But can a single vacuum really have enough suck to lift a car? To find out if this impossible-sounding tall tale can be true, the guys are starting small, with a standard vacuum and hose trying to lift a 5-pound weight. Which, eventually, it does.
Okay, so that's just barely enough to hold on to that 5 pounds.
It is.
We've just shown that this common vacuum cleaner is able to lift a 5-pound weight on the end of its hose. Now, the surface area on the end of the hose is 1.75 inches. So doing the math, that means that it's pulling about 2.8 pounds per square inch. So how are we going to lift a car that weighs 2,600 pounds? Well, all you need is more square inches. In fact, if we have up to about 1,000 square inches of suction area on the car, we should be able to lift it, in theory.
The MythBusters are banking on the idea that the relationship between lift and surface area is linear, meaning if 1 square inch can lift 2.8 pounds, a single vacuum with a 1,000 square inch footprint should be able to lift a car. But to test that crazy concept, the guys must next up the ante by building a larger-than-life vacuum attachment.
This is one of the stranger things we've built.
At 8 inches in diameter, it should put their previous test in the shade.
I hope that works.
But so that it still fits the vacuum cleaner, Jamie is building a manifold
There we go.
That will link the cleaner to the cup with no loss of suction.
Do it.
The question is, will it work?
All right, so here is a proof of concept. This is the PVC pipe cap that we put a gasket on, and here is the hose through which we'll be pulling our vacuum. The vacuum. Here is the household vacuum that we are going to use. In order to adapt from this to this, Jamie has built a manifold. So the manifold is gonna go in there, and then that goes in there. And I've got a 50-pound weight to try and lift. Let's see if this works. Hey! Nice!
In theory, I think this should be able to hold more than twice that.
That's a lot of force. No, feel it.
Incredibly, their vacuum rig is lifting the 50 pounds with room to spare.
That is awesome.
At least until they pull the plug. So what's next?
So, Jamie and I did a proof of concept 8-inch PVC cup, and it worked so well, this is gonna be our method for lifting the car. Why reinvent the wheel? So graphics, help me out. First up, give me a car. So our plan is to build 40 more suction cups just like the one we just made. We'll position them on the roof, the trunk, and the hood. From each one will come a tube that will join to a kind of mega manifold that will be attached directly to our single vacuum cleaner. Also from each cup will be a piece of threaded steel rod that will link to a support structure we'll hang above it. We'll turn the vacuum on, then we'll lift up the steel structure with the crane, and either the car will lift up or pop, 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 pop. The suction cups will all decouple, and the car will not get off the ground. The one thing I can tell you for sure is that this ain't gonna suck. Get it? Ain't gonna suck.
Since 2002, the MythBusters have become connoisseurs of car crashes. A concept Jamie's about to take to the max.
What can you say?
He's testing whether full-on explosives can ever flatten a full-sized car. But after a stellar small-scale start,
Mr. Heineman is laughing. That's a good thing.
Jamie's not ramping up right away
A little speechless.
because he wants to try to compress a second small-scale car even more.
For this next shot, we're gonna have a sheet of steel underneath the car like we did before. The car, another sheet of steel like we did before with the data sheet on top, but then 3 sheets of steel on top of the explosive. And so we'll see whether we get any more aggressive compression of the car. Looks good to me.
The theory is that the top layers of steel will provide extra resistance that will force more of the blast wave into the car. But there's an added risk to this test.
On this blast, we're likely to get some plates of steel flying very, very high in the sky, hopefully straight up.
Okay, 3 plates of steel on top, and 3, 2, 1. Whoa! I don't think they've landed yet. There, one just landed.
Oh my gosh.
It landed up on the hill there.
With all the steel safely returned to Earth, the guys go in for a closer look to find a car that is flatter, but isn't what the Heineman had hoped for.
That right there is the engine. That used to be about a 3-inch long, heavy-walled aluminum tube, and now it's not just been flattened, it's been melted. I gotta say, I think it's too much. It's almost like it burned it.
Test 2's extra downforce did crush the car more than Test 1. But because it also caused more breakage, Jamie's not satisfied.
Hey, Jamie, I found the plates. They're right here.
Cool. So our first test was not quite strong enough. The second test was a little too much. This time around, what we want is the Goldilocks zone, and how we're going to get there, hopefully, is by positioning the car in the ground with the plate on either side. Let's see how it fits. With the explosives, like we had it on the first test. There we go. And that dirt is a little bit softer, and it's going to give more than those steel plates did. Hopefully, that's going to be a little bit gentler on our car.
Now it's time for a literal fire in the hole.
Third test in the ground in 3, 2, 1. Yeah.
I don't see a lot of stuff that went straight up in the air. It looks like that went pretty well.
Yeah.
From the bunker, things look hopeful. But as the guys go in for a closer look, those hopes are soon dashed.
Looks like you made another lace curtain.
Yeah. The fact that it's over here and in pieces is not really what we want.
Once again, the explosives have ripped the car apart instead of crushing it. So next, Jamie sets up his sandwich with data sheet on both sides of the steel to pancake it in both directions.
Oh, yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, going for the glory. Double-sided shot in 3, 2, 1. Whoa.
Whoa is right. As this test gives the worst result of all, with the car neither flat nor whole.
Pretty interesting sort of a shape, but that wasn't a successful shot at all.
So, what's next?
Well, sometimes simpler is better, and the very first shot that we did was the simplest. It just had the car, the plate on top of it, and explosives on top of that. And the way I see it, we can run the test again. When we put a little more explosives on the top, we should get a little bit more crush. Maybe.
Yep, Jamie's coming full circle with a repeat of test 1, but with 50% more explosive.
How's that look?
Will this finally give him the crush he's craving?
6 mil on top of the plate in 3, 2, 1. Yeah. Let's go see what we got.
It's the biggest thud of the day. But did it work?
I'm kind of liking this. It certainly got squashed a lot more aggressively than the first shot. It has completely collapsed the engine block of the car, but then it's in place, which I like. It's kind of fused that to the rest of the body. So I think it's going to work.
It's been a blast. But finally, we have not just a happy Heinemann, but a plan for full scale. A real car sandwich with a monster load of explosives on top.
Well, that was fun. Have you got all the information you need?
Yeah, I think we're ready to scale it up.
Let's go to the big time.
What could possibly go wrong? Meanwhile, back at Carlift HQ, Adam and Jamie are halfway through one of the strangest builds in their history.
That ought to work nicely.
They're constructing a Dr. Octopus-style vacuum cleaner to find out if a single household vacuum with 48-inch suction cups
Cruising right along.
can suck enough to lift a car clean off the ground. And while it's not all been plain sailing,
That one looks... Oh! We're okay.
it's not long before they're ready to head for the hills.
Nice. This is where we are going to raise our car with a vacuum. Theoretically. I'm standing on Treasure Island in San Francisco Bay. We have done many myths out here. We've jumped off of buildings. We've driven through glass.
Oh, it's about to happen. Yeah!
Heck, we've even sailed a duct tape boat right out here.
Yeehaw!
Today, we're gonna attach a whole bunch of suction cups to a car and try and lift it with a single vacuum cleaner.
To do that, the guys must first reassemble their rig.
This is gonna take a while.
Step 1,
One down.
is for Adam to attach the 40 suction cups to the steel frame.
Yeah, like that. That's gonna be great.
Then they secure the vacuum cleaner itself
That's what you had in mind?
Yeah, something like that.
before wiring in 400 feet of hosing.
It's spaghetti, man.
Next comes the midpoint recap.
This vacuum cleaner right here, powered by 110 volts of AC, is the nerve center of our operation. It starts out by distributing its suck through this hose
Which connects to this manifold.
and distributes out through these yellow spaghetti hoses to all 40 of our cups, hopefully distributing enough vacuum power to lift our car.
What could possibly go wrong?
But there's one more thing to highlight that's different from their shop tests.
You may be noticing that this vacuum is different than the one we were using in the shop. That's because it is, and it's because we broke the one in the shop. This is why we can't have nice things. But it's an off-the-shelf product. It's got the same amount of power, same amount of suction, and well spotted, by the way.
Next, the guys bring in their 2,600-pound car
Never has MythBusters attempted to suck so hard.
and lower the suction cup system directly on top.
Can we have some dramatic music, please? That was much better, thank you. Yeah, a little bit more. Stop.
Last but not least is the crane. And then it's go time.
So the plan is to turn the vacuum on, make sure all of these are secured and attached to the car. Then we're going to try to lift it 6 inches to a foot off the ground.
Yep. These circles are all really nicely aligned, so.
If we're successful at doing that, then that means it's looking pretty good for this story. Beyond that, sky's the limit.
All right, you ready to turn it on and do this thing for real?
There we go.
All right, let's get them all socked down.
Remember, it's the crane that will be lifting the steel cradle,
Roof's all good. Trunk's good.
but it's the vacuum that will be sucking the cradle to the car.
Gently up, let's go. Come on, baby. Come on, come on. Ah! Rats, rats, rats.
So near, yet so far. It looked like they were going to get lift until a conscious uncoupling occurred. And Adam knows why.
All right, we've run into a snag, and it seems to be that our hood is buckling too much for our suction cups to maintain their hold. So we're going to reduce the number of suction cups on the hood. We have great suction on all 15 on the top of the car and all 9 on the rear of the car. With those plus 4 or 5 on the hood, we're still in the zone of liftability. We're gonna keep going.
To find out if a humble vacuum cleaner really has enough suck to lift a car, Adam and Jamie have created a 40 suction cup contraption,
Come on. Ah!
which completely failed to fly.
Rats, rats, rats.
So for test 2, they're realigning the cups on the hood
Okay, so 4 across this part of the hood.
to hopefully give them a better seal and more lift.
Moment of truth again. Let's do it.
Go, 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 go. Looking good.
Come on, baby. Oh,
It's that hood.
the hood is boning us.
Yep, like last time, the thin sheet metal of the hood is buckling under the pressure. And that movement causes the cups to break their seal. But the guys have a plan C.
So far, it seems to be the hood that is our biggest problem because it buckles. So we're trying a different arrangement. We've secured it with a couple of welds up top, and we're trying 4 main suction cups right down the center of the hood, which might hopefully be the strongest part of it. See if that works.
By concentrating the sucking power down the reinforced center, will test 3 get airborne.
Go, 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 go. Go, go.
Oh! That was so close!
It's clear we're getting awfully close. The wheels are lowering on their suspension. I swear they're just barely kissing the ground. We just need to get a couple more cups, a little bit more tweaking just so, and I think we'll get it.
The guys reset for test 4, trying again to get the tightest seals they can. But like last time, failure is the only option.
All right, here's the problem. We have what we think is enough suction in our vacuum cup machine, but we don't have enough structural integrity in the flimsy sheet metal hood of our car. Our solution, cut that hood out and replace it with a piece of sheet steel. Wait a minute, I hear you saying, that's cheating, you're changing the structure of the car. But I remind you that the myth is that there's enough power within a normal single vacuum to lift a car, and that is still the myth we're testing. We're just adding a little bit of structure.
So it's out with the old.
All right, let's take it over here to this piece of steel.
And in with the new. A buckle-proof hood that should allow for a super seal.
That ought to do it.
Once lined up with the rig, first impressions are good.
Look, I don't want to get overly confident here, but right away, the replacement of the hood with a flat piece of sheet steel is working magnificently. I've got grab on 15 suction cups up here, man. That's a lot.
Confidence has been raised, but will the car follow suit?
Dude, are you ready?
Yeah,
How many tries have we had at this?
I don't know, I lost count.
Yeah, me too. All right, let's take it up.
Okay.
For hopefully the last time, a single vacuum lifting an entire car. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Oh, rats! What? What? Oh, what happened?
The good news is that the hood held firm. The bad news is that the car lifted rear end first, which put too much pressure on the trunk cups, and this time they let go.
All right, in the spirit of trying something a little bit different every single time, Jamie's throwing about 90 pounds of sandbags on the back rail to hopefully balance the car so it doesn't lift unevenly. Now it's time.
All right, here we go. Attempt number bazillion, lifting a car with a vacuum. Gently up, let's go. Hey, I think it's off the ground.
Here it comes.
This is gonna work. It's gonna work. Come on, baby. Come on, yes! Ah! What?
It was an inch
It was an inch
on the front wheel.
on the front wheel before failure. Yes, ish.
I'm calling it.
Oh,
I'm like,
you're call-
it lifted the car off the ground.
1 inch.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe not stably, but yeah. Come on, yes! Ah!
Our last attempt with the octopus was the one that Jamie and I felt strongest, had the highest chance for success. We know from our math that we have enough suction to lift this car. In theory, it's possible. In practice, it turned out not to be possible. Nope. I think that the octopus is dead. We have proven that this cannot work. We need to implement some other solution to distribute the vacuum's power and lift this car.
We were quite pleased with our octopus concept here, but one of the things inherent to it is that there are a lot of points of potential failure because there are a lot of these cups. And all we need is one little error, like maybe this gasket material wasn't ideal. It's coming off of the glue quite easily. So I think we need to go back and rethink it. I did see it come off the ground, but I think we can do better.
After some spectacular small-scale tests, Pancake Car is going supersized.
Absolutely beautiful. For pancaking a car, we're gonna need a lot of explosives. I mean, a lot. And that's where this place comes in. I'm standing up on the mountain At New Mexico Tech, one of our all-time favorite MythBuster partnerships, they have everything we need. This is our pancake car one-stop shop.
When it comes to spectacular destruction, NMT is second to none.
In 3, 2, 1. Wow!
But to see if explosives can crush a car, Jamie's got his wheels ready to go.
This is the car we're going to use. Now, normally, I appreciate and respect Russian engineering because it tends to be simple, rugged, and dependable. This is not an example of that kind of engineering. Quite possibly one of the worst cars ever manufactured. It's going to be with a certain amount of glee that I remove this car permanently from the road.
The car may look decrepit, but it is in full working order. All it lacks is a MythBusters paint job.
Look, I recognize it's not pretty, but then nothing that's about to happen to this car is going to be pretty.
Now, the goal here is to turn our car into a perfectly flat plate, just like we did in our small-scale experiments. And to do that, we've got two massive steel plates, one that's embedded in the ground, one that is suspended overhead off of this gantry. It weighs 7,000 pounds, and we're going to put explosives on top of that. It's going to come down on our unsuspecting car like a freight train.
That's the theory. And before long, the 7,000-pound plate is up and running.
It's a beautiful thing.
Secured to the gantry courtesy of 6 breakaway straps.
Okay, now you can sort of see how this is all coming together. We've got our plate in place. We've got the car that's going to go underneath. Explosives on top. Bob's your uncle.
With that, it's time to position the car. First, with a forklift.
Like a surgeon. Now, don't scratch it.
And then, by hand.
How's that?
A little bit more.
All right.
There we go. Cool.
That just leaves the explosives. All 1,000 pounds of it.
That is a lot of boom. Gently up. Let's go.
At Treasure Island,
Come on, baby.
Adam and Jamie's lift-a-car suction rig has sucked.
Brass. What happened?
So it's back to the shop and back to the drawing board.
So, just to recap, and you saw this, our previous method was what we call the octopus arm method and involved many different caps distributed across the whole of the car. And that turned out to be completely 100% wrong. So now we are going with a method we call the box method. I don't know how do we come up with these names, but it's just a gift we have. Instead of 40 points of failure, we now have 3. 3 big, sturdy wooden boxes made out of plywood, sealed with a gasket between them and the car. We pull a vacuum from them with the manifolds. I think this is gonna work. We're gonna build some boxes. We're gonna lift this car.
So it's out with the octopus and in with 3 boxes that will still be powered by a single vacuum cleaner.
This plywood right here is one of my favorite building materials. We refer to it as Finn ply because it's made in Finland, and it's a birch ply that has many more laminations than normal plywood. It's about twice as heavy and twice as strong.
To give this design the best chance, Jamie's making each box as big as possible.
To start,
He's also contouring them to precisely fit the car's shape.
looks good.
And last but not least, he's laying in a rubber gasket that should form a leak-proof seal.
That all looks just about perfect.
And once the seal is set, the guys double-check the fit.
Lovely.
And their confidence is back with a bang.
These boxes are best to be thought of as the workers we are using to lift the car. So far here, all 3 boxes are saying, hell yeah, I can lift that car. But we've been here before. All 40 of our suction cups were all like, totally easy, man, we can lift that car. And they totally couldn't. So even though the math says that these are working beautifully and they should lift the car, I still see many ways in which this could go south.
Well, to find out, it's back to Treasure Island for some predictable preparation.
Looks really nice.
First, the guys position the steel cradle above the car.
I think that looks good. It's right over the rear view mirror.
Then they add the boxes to the trunk,
A little more, a little top. Perfect.
roof,
Yeah, that's tight.
and hood.
Nice.
Next, they secure the boxes to the cradle.
I think we're good.
With that, the guys bring in the crane.
That's good.
Before Adam adds the vital ingredient, the vacuum cleaner.
It's time to bring the vacuum back into this equation. I think that's a lovely place for it, don't you?
The boxes are the crucial change to this test.
I think we're really close.
But to help see if they're working, the guys have added pressure gauges to assess the suction before the crane starts to lift.
Okay, we are moments away. The boxes are done. They're sitting on our car. Our rack has been re-welded with new cross struts and new uprights, and the vacuum is sitting in the place of pride. When we turn this vacuum on, it's going to start to evacuate air from each of the 3 boxes: the hood, the roof, and the trunk. But you don't need to know all that. What you need to know is that we're moments away.
So is this going to work? Well, our 3 boxes have a total surface area of 4,000 square inches, and we've shown that the vacuum cleaner can lift 2.8 pounds with 1 square inch. Now, that gives us a total theoretical lifting capability of 11,000 pounds. That's over 4 times the weight of our car. But as we showed earlier, it may not all be just about the math.
No, it's also about the rig, the seals, and the crumpling metal of the car.
Starting the vacuum in 3, 2, 1.
But with the vacuum on, the news is good.
It's climbing.
It's climbing?
Yeah.
Yes! Oh, yeah, baby!
All gauges show the boxes are sucking down with a vacuum pressure greater than 6 inches of mercury. And that means it's time to try to raise the roof.
Let's do this.
All right, let's take it up 18 inches.
Okay.
Oh,
That was the hood popping. That's good. That's cool. We got pressure.
It's a bumpy start, but as the crane takes up the slack,
come on, baby. Hold on to this car.
the car does start to rise.
Yes, it's off the ground. This freaking car is off the ground. Oh, man. That is freaking awesome. This is amazing. Oh, dude! We are lifting a car with nothing but a single vacuum.
But the MythBusters ain't gonna leave it there.
Dude, I hear squealing, but I say, let this puppy squeal. He's going up whether he likes it or not.
Because they're taking the car to the top.
I know, this is freaking me out.
Remember, the crane is lifting the steel cradle.
Holy balls. There you go. That's about how we're feeling here.
But it's the vacuum cleaner on its own
This is every bit as satisfying as I was hoping it would be.
that's sucking the cradle to the car.
That is freaking awesome!
And to prove just that, once the car's maxed out, Jamie's gonna pull the plug on the cleaner, which should result in the car destruction this episode needs.
3, 2, 1.
Oh!
That was very satisfying.
Oh, that was awesome. Woo! So, and if anyone needs to lift a car with a vacuum, don't call us. We've done it once. We don't want to do it again.
Yep, once the vacuum cleaner was switched off, gravity brought this myth back to Earth.
This time around, it was like clockwork. The boxes held, their seals held. And the simple fact was that, doing the math, there was over 11,000 pounds of suction on that car. So it was going up, at least until we pulled the plug.
Something that you should know about me is that I love the car myths on MythBusters. But this is my all-time favorite MythBuster car myth. We actually lifted this thing
with nothing but the power of a single vacuum cleaner. Next time someone tells you that MythBusters sucks, tell them damn straight. That was beautiful. Nice work, sir.
You too.
Let's get out of here.
Who would think a vacuum cleaner was hiding so much suction power?
I know. Cool story.
Thanks.
Deep in the heart of the New Mexican desert, a dud of a car is about to get bombed. But will it go pancake flat?
In our small-scale testing, we showed that a single piece of data sheet gave us the best results. I'm kind of liking this. Now, we're going to take a similar approach here, but instead of data sheet, we're going to be using AMFO. The reason we're using AMFO is it's actually better for performing this kind of task. It's a slower moving explosive, and it pushes things better instead of breaking them apart, which is what we want.
ANFO is definitely the best choice of a boom. And to accurately scale up,
That is a lot of boom.
Jamie's using 1,000 pounds of it.
Currently, Jamie is arranging 1,000 pounds of AMFO. That's 20 bags that weigh 50 pounds each on top of the trench plate. Now, the pattern that he's using is one that is invented so that the pulse from the explosion provides a totally universal push on that trench plate into the car.
That's the theory. And with the last bag in place, this one-shot deal is ready to rumble.
You know those little bags of ketchup that you step on the sidewalk and they just go? That's what's going to happen here.
Yep, it's going to be some kind of catastrophe. But to find out what kind, the guys head underground into a bomb-proof bunker. And then it's go time.
Normally with our explosions, we've got line of sight, even if it's a long line of sight. But this one is only happening a few hundred feet from where we're standing. So it's lucky that where I'm standing is deep underground in a concrete and steel bunker covered with dirt. That's where I want to be.
Okay, this is Pancake Car. Full-scale test. Flattening a terrible car in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Whoa!
That was very intense.
That was energetic.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a piece of the frame. Wow,
Yeah.
Stuff is still falling.
Without doubt, the ANFO packed a serious punch, sending the 3-ton steel gantry over 500 feet in the air. Something that's worth seeing again and again and again. But amidst the stupendous spectacle, what's happened to the car? Well, before hitting ground zero, Adam first cues up the high speed.
I'm not exactly sure where this file is, but we're gonna find out. I'm gonna watch the explosion here. Everything looks really calm. Whoa, whoa. Okay, hold on. It is like an atomic blast. Wow. Look at that, oh my gosh. The distorted shockwave coming off of the fireball is one of the loveliest things I have ever seen. But holy cow, what a powerful impulse. Look at that. Like you see in an atomic blast, there's actually a convection current pulling dust in at the bottom. That's amazing. And giant chunks of steel flying out of the debris cloud. Oh, now I can see the shockwave has hit the camera because the camera is starting to vibrate.
The high speed is clearly something special. But to really understand what's going on, the guys head on in.
No way.
The car is gone.
The car is gone, but that is the exact pattern in which you laid out the AMFO.
Yeah.
So it went through the top plate, through the car, and made a car-sized dent in the bottom.
Well, I guess it's back to the drawing board.
You knocked yourself out, champ. So we rushed up to ground zero hoping to find a pancake car and instead found no car whatsoever. What seems to have happened is when we pushed the button, the Ampho didn't cleanly push our steel plate down and into the car. It punched a perfect hole through that steel plate, sending chunks flying hundreds of feet and effectively vaporizing the car. The one thing it did not do was flatten the car.
Yep, instead of being a flat piece of furniture, the car was blown to kingdom come. Ripped apart by the immense blast pressure and the top steel plate, which itself turned to lethal shrapnel. So much so that their Yugo wasn't the only car that took a hit.
Now, this is one of our rental cars, and it was parked behind our bunker, which is under a mountain of dirt. And the shock wave was enough to crack this windshield just from that. It was too much.
This window, however, was not broken by a shockwave. It was broken by shrapnel. Ooh, specifically this, like, 40-pound piece of 1.5-inch thick steel, which flew probably 750, 800 feet to get here and cause this destruction.
Clearly, there's carnage inside and out as the power of the boom took everyone by surprise. So how does that leave Jamie's car destruction dossier?
Now, we could have used a thicker plate, let's say a 12-inch thick one. But here's the thing, a plate that size is going to weigh 84,000 pounds. Just dropping that on the car by itself would crush the car really nicely, but that's not the point. The point was to do it with explosives. Now, somewhere out there, there might be the right combination of steel thickness and quantity of explosives that would do it right, but at this point, our best guess just didn't work at all. Well, I tell you what, this is without a doubt the most impressive piece of shrapnel we've ever made.
Yep, and to boot, we never have to look at that car again. It is done.
Yeah.
Let's get out of here.